Test.
Is there a thing, the red thing flashing?
Yeah, the arrow. This.
Cool.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. As human beings and living organisms, we're naturally learn from our environments. We take things from what we see as others doing successful, whether those are behaviors, whether those are emotion, whether that is certain dynamics that are within groups of people. So Johnson, Hyman, and O'Neill take this idea and they demonstrate it through relating team dynamics and group work to be related to the way that a wolf pack works in nature. So one Intel corporate member states that you have no choice but to operate in a world shaped by globalization and the information revolution. There are two options. You either adapt or you die. Or to put it a little more lightly, you will fail. So wolf packs are known to be evolutionarily effective and successful teams, for they specifically in their hunt of their prey. The wolf credo kind of sums up these main ideas, and that the researchers presented this. So respect the elders, teach the young, cooperate with the pack, play when you can, hunt when you must, rest in between, share your affections, voice your feelings, and lastly, leave your mark. All of these elements that are involved in this credo can be translated into how either an effective business team, how an effective sports team, or just even in certain relationships that we have in our lives, how it can function, and specifically the researchers highlight 5 areas. These 5 areas are attitude, uniqueness, communication, creativity, and lastly, play. So a lot of times, I mean, we think that if we encompass certain elements in our group work, in our teams, that we just automatically will be successful. And that's true at certain times, but we also need to notice and understand what contributes to failure, and kind of the importance of working hard in order not to fail. So failing in nature in a wolf pack ultimately means a failure to survive. If they're not going to make that kill, if they don't work together, they won't be able to feed themselves and their pack. And in teams and business, in the incompletion of a task as failure, that can sometimes result as the loss of business for a company, through profit, through sales, through certain marketing failures, but also that can ultimately affect the loss of a job of an individual. So failing to perform, that can be a loss of opportunity, wasted energy, and wasted resources as well. So as we see, what some points the researchers pointed out why failure happens are a lack of a long-term vision, insufficient commitment, unidentified priorities, a lack of creativity, inadequate training, under-supported resources, and ineffective or inadequate time for team meetings and that group communication, which is very important. So first off, we'll talk about attitude. So in a wolf pack, the first question that is asked, and pretty much the only question, is what is best for the pack? What is going to make us successful? How can we work together in order to make that kill, in order to feed and live and thrive? Teams should adopt this attitude in business and in sports, thinking of, we're not individuals, we're a team. And working as a team, that's how we're going to make things happen. So really emphasizing that team rather than the individual, and kind of being set in that mindset and maintaining that perspective. Working as a cohesive unit, working as one in order to communicate, in order to understand each other, and be proactive and adaptive to certain situations. Like in a wolf pack, you're going to have wolves that are going to be chasing and trapping in order to get that common goal of making that kill. And that can be translated into a lot of certain things in athletics and also in the business world. So uniqueness is the second one, is our second main point here. And in a wolf pack, each wolf has a distinct howl, is what researchers point out. And no two are the same. And that's kind of how they communicate, how they understand each as an individual, and each also holds specific strengths, specializations, and expertise that not every wolf has. So identifying those roles, identifying and knowing what each other's strengths are, helps enhance uniqueness and kind of, instead of hinder being an individual and unique in a team, but really emphasizing that. And that really turns into teammates being able to encourage each other in order to feel respected, and also to allow for individual expression. And And also, the team is much like a machine. Just like the wolf pack, you need all those members in order to accomplish that goal. So essentially, the machine won't run without all the parts. So wolf packs do not rely heavily on an alpha wolf guiding them all the time. They're highly dependent on that intergroup communication of members, understanding and knowing and expecting where each other are going to be at certain times, how they're going to react to certain situations. In a sense, wolves micromanage themselves, and they take responsibility and accountability for the certain, either what they're responsible for or taking care of their young, taking care of the pack in general. Business teams need not rely fully on management at all times, because if we constantly have someone telling us what to do, it demotes that ability to express that uniqueness, what we talked about. It can limit that communication, turning it into a one-way road instead of a two-way road, which is much more effective. So creativity. How are wolves creative, you may think? Well, not all wolves are born and accepted into that pack. These are often the omega wolves or the lone wolves. And they have to learn to be adaptive and also confident that they can stray away from that pack they're born into and have the audacity to go out and create their own pack or even join another team. Team members in business and in sport also need to understand that there are going to be times when things aren't always going great, things aren't always running smoothly, and so we need to learn to be flexible. We need to learn to be adaptable to certain circumstances that are going to be unexpected. Also, giving that amount of creativity and that openness and flexibility allows for members of the team to kind of be more self-directed in a sense. And when research has shown that intrinsic motivation will increase if we give a lot more self-direction. In a sense, we refer to that as autonomy, or that giving that choice and responsibility, and also that accountability, again, is highly important in the function of a team. So lastly, we're going to talk about play. Now, wolves are masters of deliberate play, and by deliberate play, I mean that their leisure activities are highly progressive towards their success in their accomplishments and that end goal. You can see and observe wolves fighting, and through that fighting and that play, that builds their muscles, that enhances their senses. It also enhances the sense of trust and knowing and how each other are going to react or how themselves would react to certain situations. So if we take this and shift it over into an either sport or business aspect, we can see that through team bonding and building, that can either be going on a retreat, doing a ropes course, or also just doing certain exercises in the office or on the field in order to enhance those relationships, in order to enhance trust. And also, if everybody's kind of on the same page and we can understand each other, that piece of commitment, which is highly important, can really come into play. So by implementing Wolfpack concepts, not only are team dynamics and success seem to improve, in a business sense, it can reduce your costs, reduce your amount of workforce that you need, in addition to those layers of management, if people are more self-directed. You can increase your profits by having much more efficient work. There's a shorter time from the market, time to market for products, and also greater employee motivation and commitment. And that can also go for team members. With the greater commitment and loyalty, you're going to be able to develop new ideas. You're going to be able to explore different areas because you have that team commitment. So we can learn a lot from the wild, obviously, through understanding the behaviors and things that work, taking those things that work and adapting them to our certain styles. So this brought me to pose kind of two statements and questions. So in a team, either sport-related or in business, why put the time and effort into anything if you don't go about it doing it the right way? Take that time to formulate that team bonding, understand that commitment, understand the uniqueness of certain players that you have in your team in order to make them highly effective. And lastly, to take the time to do things properly, or your resources and energy and time are wasted and failed in the result. Oftentimes there are deadlines in businesses. For teams, you have your season and you need to periodize that in certain ways to be successful. In understanding and implementing a lot of these concepts that the researchers present, I really feel that it can be effective and also a lot of fun, because I mean, who doesn't want to be part of a Wolfpack?